Good evening. Video discussion week 6, stakeholder management. If we want to have a successful project, we have to meet project stakeholder expectations. Managing stakeholders' expectations is often difficult due to the conflicting objectives. For example, one stakeholder wants the most sophisticated equipment, which of course costs a lot, while the other wants the most efficient equipment, which is not necessarily the most sophisticated or expensive. It is hard to solve these kinds of conflicts. However, as we can find on the web, the solution should be resolved to meet the customer's need as the customer will be using the product or service. The project manager will have to resolve differences like this amicably. Major components of the stakeholders plan are identify stakeholders, plan stakeholders management, manage stakeholder management, control stakeholder management. We have to identify stakeholders in the early stage of the project. Also, we have to identify the key stakeholders and their requirements. As we can find on the web, key stakeholders are often those who potentially have the most influence over a project or those who may be most affected by the project. It is important to identify them so we can manage their requirements with good communication and their participation. What is stakeholders theory? Edward Freeman's theory holds that a company's stakeholders include just about anyone affected by the company and its workings. The view is in opposition to the long-held shareholder theory proposed by economist Milton Friedman, that in capitalism, the only stakeholders a company should care about are its shareholders and thus its bottom line. I have to say that I agree with Dr. Freeman, and as Dr. Freeman said, a company can't ignore any of its shareholders and truly succeed. Project stakeholders have been identified. The project team will categorize and analyze each stakeholder. The purpose of this analysis is to determine the stakeholder's level of power or influence, plan the management approach for each stakeholder, and to determine the appropriate levels of communication and participation each stakeholder will have on the project. We use stakeholder analysis to identify the key people who have to be on our side and supporting us to ensure that your projects are more likely to succeed. We will not always have a great news for our stakeholders. There will be times when we have to deliver bad news. There are many methods to announce bad news. Here are some things to keep in mind when we do that. Remain objective and share the facts. Discourage emotional responses and work to maintain calm. Communicate bad news face to face or through the video conferencing if necessary. Ensure all stakeholders receive the message is relevant and appropriate to their needs, and allow for two-way dialogue to ensure everyone has a chance to share their thoughts, advice, and potential solutions. Bad news is not easy to deliver. Therefore, project manager must carefully assess each scenario and determine the best approach that gives stakeholders confidence in the project and you as a leader. Thank you.